In this video I will be showing how to make an advanced cover system with many features. You can enter cover if you stand in front of a wall and press C. You can exit using S. The player will align themselves to any curves and bumps in the wall, which makes it more realistic. If the wall height is too low, the player will also crouch. There are animations for switching movement directions. When the player reaches the edge of a wall, if there is another wall, you can jump to that one by pressing left control. The system also works with curved surfaces. First we need to get the animations. I will use Mixamo for them. The first animation is cover to stand. Make sure to download it without skin. Next animation is left cover sneak. Then get right cover sneak. Next get crouch sneaking left. Then get crouch sneaking right. Next we need cover idle. Since we need it for both directions, download the original one and a mirrored version using the checkbox. Get the original and mirrored animation for crouched cover idle as well. Get the original and mirrored animation for standing cover turn and crouched cover turn. Finally, get the original and mirrored animation for standing cover to cover. I will now use this Mixamo converter to convert from Mixamo to Unreal Rig. I will put a link to the software in the description. Now open Unreal Engine. I will make a new folder for the cover system. Import the animations. Make folders for each type of animation so it is easier to navigate through. Some of the animations were mirrored, so have the same name, so I will rename them appropriately. Open the cover to stand animation and enable root motion. Create an animation montage of it by right-clicking. Next, enable root motion on both cover to cover animations and create animation montages of them. Open it and add a motion warping notify to it. If you don't have the motion warp notify, then enable the motion warp plugin. Make it last the whole duration. Then set the warp target name to cover move location. Make sure to add it for both animations. Next, enable root motion for all sneak animations. You can do this quicker by selecting all, then selecting the edit via property matrix option as shown. Create animation montages of all of them and open one. Make a new anim slot group called cover group. Add a new slot to this group called cover. No add a motion warping notify to this similar to the one we did for cover to cover. Set the warp target name to cover move to. Make sure you set the group of the montage to the cover group.cover we made. Repeat this for the other 3 montages. Now enable root motion for all turn animations and make montages of them. Next we will make the required blend spaces. Make a new 1D blend space and select your character skeleton. Blend spaces are used to blend between different animations using 1 or 2 inputs as a parameter. For this one, set the axis name to direction with minimum and maximum values of -1 and 1 respectively. Set the smoothing time to 0.2 and weight speed to 2 so the blending is not snappy. Put the standing cover idle left at -1 and right at 1. You can hold shift while dragging the animations onto the blend space to snap them to the set values. Duplicate the blend space for a crouched cover idle blend space. Next we will quickly design a UI that tells the player when they can jump to cover. Promote the outhit and return value of the sphere trace to local variables titled left trace result and left trace hit. Local variables are self-contained variables within the function which can only be used and accessed directly within the function. Duplicate the sphere trace and connect the start and end nodes. Drag the draw debug type into the function node to make it an input. This makes it easier to debug the system and to see how it works with the traces. Promote the variable of the second sphere trace similar to the first one but for right direction. Next, add a branch node. Get the left and right trace result. Break the hit result and make rot from x of the normal. Add a nearly equal float node with A and B being both yaw components of the make rot from X. This is a check done to make sure that the wall width is thick enough by comparing the normal and seeing if they are close enough. Add an N node, with left trace hit and right trace hit as two other conditions. Next, add another sphere trace by channel out of the true path of the branch. Copy the scripting shown, which is similar to the one we just did before. Set the radius to 20 this time. If the branch is false, add another branch. The condition for this one will be left trace hit and right trace hit. If true, then connect it to the previous sphere trace. If false, add a return node. The outputs will be a boolean called concover, two vectors for location and normal, and a float for normal multiplier. As you can see, the player can cover to any of these walls and will align correctly to the angle of them. There is a problem with the trace, however, as it is not showing in both sides. Open the forward trace function and rearrange the nodes at the start like shown. Now the trace is working correctly. Next we will add exiting the ledge. I will use the S key for this. Add a branch that checks is cover and sets it to false if it was true. Set can cover left and can cover right to false as well. This is so the variables are all reset when exiting the ledge and is at the default state for when entering cover next. Make two new Boolean variables called cover move left and cover move right, setting both to false as well. This will be used later for other functions in the system. Get mesh and add a play montage node with the montage to play being cover to stand. Make a new variable with the type being the cover states enum we made. Set the value of it to idle. It is clearer now how enums are useful, as we can keep track of the current cover state with strings that are understandable. On blend out, uncrouch so that the player will be standing if they were previously in a crouched cover state. The exiting works, but it looks too slow, so you can easily change the speed of the animation by changing the play rate. You can adjust these values to your liking. We will now add the idle animations to the animation blueprint. Open your character's animation blueprint. Get the isCover variable and promote it to a variable in the animation blueprint. Make a new float variable called cover direction. The value of it will be a series of select floats with the conditions being cover move left and cover move right. This will choose a value of either -1 if left, 1 if right, or 0 if centered. For the anim graph portion, you may need to figure out where this would go if your blueprint is not the third-person template but your own or a different one. In the main states, add a new state for cover idle. Make a transition from locomotion to the cover idle with the condition being isCover. Add both of the cover idle blend spaces with the direction input being cover direction. Add a blend poses by bool. This node allows us to select which blend space to use based on a Boolean input. I will adjust the blend times as well. The active value is the condition, which will be is crouching. Finally, we need to add the new cover slot we made so that montages with that slot will actually work. Add it after the default slot, changing the slot using the drop down on the right. The animation works now, which by default is centered. Next we will work on a function for continuing cover movement. The function will have 4 anim montage inputs called left current, left target, right current and right target. There are 2 different ones so that if the animation goes from standing to crouched it will smoothly switch between them. Add a branch node. Get the anim instance of the mesh and the montage is playing node. The montage will be left current. Then get the montage get position of left current as well. The branch condition will be the montage is playing. Next get the motion warping component and add or update warp target. If you did not follow along for previous parkour videos, you can add this motion warping from the add button on the left. The target will be make motion warping target. The name of it will be cover move 2. Make sure it is worded exactly like the notify name you put in the montages, including any capitals. Promote the location and rotation to variables. Next get a montage play node with the montage being left target. This system uses the current position so that if going from standing to crouch while already moving the animation will not snap to the start of the new one but already be moving. Next set can move in cover to true. Make sure you connect the get position to in time to start montage at. If the branch is false, then copy the scripting but change the left current and left targets to right. I will now comment the function. Now we will make a custom event called trace cover height which will trace whether the player should be in standing cover or crouched cover. Add a branch node. The condition will be checking if one of 2 montages are playing by using the OR operator. The 2 montages will be the cover to cover montages. This next part is a sphere trace which made the system buggy later so it was removed, so I will speed this part up. Skip to the time shown to continue with the actual part. If you want to make sure you have the same code as me for the bug fix later you can quickly follow this incorrect part but don't need to be accurate. Before setting B, make two new Boolean variables called cover to cover left and cover to cover right. Copy the scripting for the B value, which will use a Boolean to float operator. This checks that the player is at an edge and they can cover to cover while at that edge. If true, the UI is shown, otherwise not. Now we will make a simple function called cover direction. Make it a pure function since it does not need to be executed directly. Add a return node. The function input will be a direction enum called given direction and the output will be a float called direction. Get a select node with the input being the index. Left is 1 and right is -1. This function will help with deciding directions using left or right, which is more readable by mapping it to the corresponding float values. The next function is called cover trace edge, which will trace for when we are the edge of a wall. It will have one input called direction of type direction enum. Add a line trace by channel. Follow the scripting, which again is very similar to what we have already done for other traces. The value to multiply here will be the get cover direction, with the input being that of this function's input. I will make the draw debug type an input. Add a branch out of the return value and a return node if true. The output will be a variable called hit, which is set to true here. If false, then add another branch. The coding shown here is also incorrect, so you don't need to follow it, as it will be replaced later with fixed code. This one is easier to ignore, as it is just the condition of the branch that will be changed. If the branch is true, set cover state to a select node with the index being the direction input. If left, it will be left edge and vice versa. Next, call the set cover camera offset event. Then set can move in cover to true and add a return node with hit being false. If the branch is false, add the return node as well. Next will be a function called cover to cover trace, which determines whether there is a wall that the player can jump to cover to. The inputs will be a direction enum called direction and a scene component called tracer arrow. This is where the arrow components we added will be used. Add a capsule trace by channel. Copy the scripting shown for the start and end, which once again is similar to code we have already scripted. The radius will be 30 and the half height will be 60. Add a branch out of the return value and break hit result. If true, add a sphere trace by channel. The end will be the impact point of the capsule trace's hit result. For the start point, break the impact point vector and make a vector with only the z component of it. For x and y, get actor forward vector multiplied by 80, which is added to the impact point. Break this vector and connect the x and y to the make vector. The radius will be 10. This sphere trace is used to determine the angle of the target wall. If the branch is false, set both cover to cover variables to false. Next, set the cover location after the sphere trace. Break the hit result of it as well. Copy the scripting for the cover location. This uses the traces to find the location to end up at after jumping from cover to cover. After the set cover camera offset, add the cover trace edge function twice. Make sure one of the directions is right. Next, add a branch with the condition being the OR operator of both cover trace edges hit output with the NOT operator being applied. This will check if either one of the traces are not a hit. If true, then add a montage stop group by name, setting the group name to the group we made before in the montages, which was cover group. Make sure you write it exactly as you named it in the montage editor. This section of code is used to keep track of when the player is at the edge of a wall and if the animation must be stopped since there is no wall being detected. The next custom event will be called cover update trace. Add a set timer by function name, with the function name being the cover update event we just made. Set the time to 0.001 and looping to true. This is a better way of making code run constantly as opposed to the event tick, since tick will run that code every frame and not be able to stop. Make another custom event called stop cover update, which will clear timer by function name. Next we will make a macro called cover switch direction, which will be used for when the player switches direction after already moving in cover. Add the cover update trace function to it. There will be two anim montage inputs for standing and cover transition and a direction enum input called direction. Next, add a do once node and set can move in cover to false on completed. Then add a play montage node with the montage being a select node. The index will be is crouching and false will be the standing transition and true is the cover transition. Next, set the cover state to a select node with the index being the direction input. Left will be left edge and vice versa. Then set both cover to cover variables to false. Next, set cover, move right to a select node. The index is direction with the right option being checked. Do the opposite for cover, move left. Then set cover state to a select node with the options left moving and right moving. Finally, set can move in cover to false. On completed, call stop cover update. On blend out, set can move in cover to true. Then do a switch on cover state enum, setting cover state to left idle if left moving and right idle if right moving. The next function will be move in cover, which combines the movement functions and events we made. It will have one direction input. Add a branch node with a select node as the condition, with the inputs being can cover left and can cover right. Next, set can move in cover to false, as it should be disabled when moving, and reset once the movement finishes. Then add a line trace by channel. Copy the scripting for the start and end location. Add a for loop with break, then add a sphere trace by channel. We are doing multiple traces to ensure that the wall is wide enough to move along. Copy the scripting for the start and end locations. On completed, add a branch that checks can move in cover. If true, add a branch node that checks montage is playing using the anim instance of the mesh. If false, then call the cover move component event with the input being direction. Make sure to set the for loop's last index to 4. Next, add a branch node. Drag out of return value and add an operator. Then break the hit result and get distance vector of the location to the actor location. Check if this is greater than a relatively small value such as 5. This is the second condition in the end. Add a make rot from X node using the impact normal as well. If true, add a sequence with then 0 being connected to break from the for loop. In then 1 set the cover location and rotation to the hit results location and the make rot from X. In then 2 add a branch node. Promote the condition to a variable called check cover angle, which by default I will set to false. This variable is a customizable which will decide whether the player can cover move along any angle or limit it to a set one. Get the delta rotator of the actor rotation and cover rotation, then split the struct pin. Check if this is less than a newly created variable called max cover angle. I will set this to 50, but you can choose any. This means that walls that are above 50 degrees relative to the player cannot be moved along while in cover. If this branch is true, set can move in cover to true, or false otherwise. Set it to false if the first branch is false as well. I will now comment the function. Next we will make a custom event called input moving, which is the final piece of code that will be called in the movement input to be able to move along cover. Add a branch node that checks if is cover. If true, add another branch that checks can move in cover. If the previous branch is false, then set cover move right and cover move left to false. If the second branch is true, then add a compare float node. The input will be the return value X of the input event IA_move. are a few short bugs to fix, but you can ignore this first one as it will be changed completely soon. Go to the Set Cover Camera Offset event and make sure it's connected to Play from Start instead of Play. Also go to the Cover Update Trace and set the time to 0.01 as 0.001 made the game extremely laggy. Now all the mechanics we have developed so far are working smoothly. Next we will add the jump to cover system, combining the functions and events we made earlier. I will use the left control key for this, but you can change this if you want. Add a branch node which checks that cover state is either left edge or right edge. If true, then add a branch node that checks can cover to cover. You can alternatively use an operator instead of having two branch nodes, but I find this usually easier to read. Next add the cover update trace function if true. Add a branch that checks cover to cover left, and if false then a branch that checks cover to cover right. Add a sequence to both of them. Then 0 of both will connect to an add or update warp target node for motion warping. Set the name to cover move location, as specified in the cover to cover montages. The warp target location and rotation is the cover location and actor rotation. Add separate play montage nodes for both then ones of the sequence. The first one is standing cover to cover left and the second is standing cover to cover right. Set cover state to idle after both montages. On blend out, set cover state of each one to that direction's edge. Then set cover move right and cover move left for both, setting that directions 1 to true only. Finally set cover to cover left and cover to cover right both to false and connect it to both previous paths. We need to add one more section to this code. Copy this part from the Enter Cover section. This code is done to 100% ensure that once jump to cover the player is facing away from the new wall, since in some cases the wall that they jump to might not be consistent with the one they left from. Change the values as shown. Jumping to cover is now working. The system also works on this circular object where the angle of the wall is not the same at any point. Now we will do some bug fixes before finishing the last parts of the system. The first bug is when you cover along these sharp angles and the player crouches briefly even when they shouldn't. This can be avoided in the first place by using the check cover angle system we made, but that is a customizable option, so this should be fixed anyway. This is an easy fix and it will be removing this portion of code which I explained during that stage is incorrect code. This was causing the bug since it was an extra unnecessary trace which made the player crouch as it was not checking far back enough for a wall. Now the player realistically moves along that 90-degree angle without crouching or any other problems. The next bug is that when you initially enter cover to a crouched position it does not work and it will always be standing. The first step to fix this is to convert this code in the trace cover height event to a function which I will name cover trace crouch. Add this function at the end of the enter cover code as well, then set should crouch to the not operator of the function's return value. Now open your character's animation blueprint. Promote should crouch to a variable in the animation blueprint. Then replace the blend by bool condition in the cover idle state with should crouch instead of is crouched. Now it is working correctly. This next bug occurs sometimes when the player exits cover and they are crouched. This is a simple fix and is a bug caused by the traces not being correctly stopped when exiting. After the branch in the exit code, call the stop cover update event. This has fixed the issue. The final bug is sometimes when you jump to cover, the player gets stuck and can't move anymore. To fix this, open the cover trace edge function and remove this branches condition. As I explained earlier, this was wrong. Leave the cover state and direction enums. Drag out of cover state and get an equals enum node. Then add a select node with direction being the index. Now right-click the return value and change the type to cover state enum. This step is really important as Unreal Engine is not automatically finding the cover state enum type and updating the select node if we drag it in as a wildcard. Set left to left moving and vice versa. Set the radius to 25. Then add a branch node with the condition being an operator with the first condition being the sphere trace's return value. Break the hit result and get a distance float node to the actor location. The second condition is checking if this distance is greater than 5. Then make rot from x of the impact normal and set this as the target of AR interp node. This is a way to smoothly set a rotator value. The current is the actor rotation. The delta time is the world delta seconds and the interp speed I will put as 1.2. The higher the interp speed, the faster the transition from the current to target will be. If the branch is true, then set the actor rotation to the R interp value. I will call this event in the event tick using a branch that checks if is cover. Ideally it is not the best to use event tick for this, as it will check for it every frame, but when it was compared to a set timer by event, the system was a lot smoother without any noticeable jaggedness as it was when using the timer. The cover system is now finished. The player can enter and exit cover. If you enter cover on a wall that is not tall enough, the player enters it in crouched cover. You can move along walls and it will crouch if needed. The player will be able to move along any wall and it will align realistically. The system works along curved surfaces too. When at the edge of a wall, if there is space, you can jump to cover. That is all for this video. You can purchase this project using the link in the description if you want. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.